Hello everyone. I think the stream has started. If you can see me and hear me, say something to the chat. Hello Igor. How are you? Let's check YouTube page myself. Okay, it's working. Hello Zuk Zuk. It's not gonna be a crowded stream, so it's just us, and for me to have some company while making this. So, as you may understand, I've made a small extension for default physics based on Box2D, because what default has for physics is very limited and it's often not convenient to use. So I decided to make a standalone extension, and it was actually a part of a job, part of a project for a client. They needed a well-behaving physics system, and it was simply not achievable with what default has. Here's the extension over here. In the default, I already copied it here, and this is just a blank default project. So let's start defaulting. What do we have in the main collection? It's empty. Can we run it? If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. It doesn't run. Yes, because the first thing you need to do when you are using my extension, you have to go to native extensions in game project and use physics null app manifest, which disables built-in default physics. Otherwise, it just conflict and you will get this kind of errors. Let's try it again. Yeah, black screen. It's building fine. Okay, what shall we add here? Maybe some... Well, let's create something round maybe. And by round I mean some object. I always have a main game object with a main script. for some reason right-clicking is not working properly for me. I'm using a touchpad and it's not always recognizable that I'm touching it, that I'm clicking it. Add component file mains.script. Okay, main script. What do we need here? Probably not this one, not this one. Maybe we'll keep it. Okay, let's do it here. And yeah, we need some objects. And we are going to have a factory for the object. Let's call it just circle. And for the rendering, I'm gonna use my favorite module. Let's swap the render script. For hours. Let's copy from built-ins. And I don't need this. I don't need this. I will have assets, predicate, and for projection we are going to use orthographic for basic 2D view. And we don't need this. Let's have another helping library. So as you can understand, a lot of the time is going to be just the project setup, and before we can use actually anything from Box2D. So let's call it screen, maybe display, window. Let's try window. No, not low model, I need a folder first. Lips. Hello Andreas. Hello Pavel. Your message was retracted for some reason. I don't know why. Have you said something offensive? Or maybe you have posted a link? Let's go to window. As far as I understand, YouTube automatically records every stream and it will be available after I stream it, so it should be available. So this little window.lua module is going to help me interact with the screen size in my main script. I accidentally deleted the init function of the render script. Okay. Window width is going to be render get. You see, there's get width and get window width and height, and I always forget what's the difference between them. Maybe I just don't know it, or maybe there's no difference at all. So this is the initial value, and we are going to update it in the update loop. And now we can replace that and that. And why I chose to have my own render script is because of the projection. I don't like it when the projection goes from 0 to the size of the screen. I prefer the 0 point to be at the center of the screen. So that would be minus 0.5 window width plus 0.5 minus 0.5 height and 0.5 height near, I don't know, 100 probably. I also forget which one should be negative and which one should be positive, but it will be easy to fix later on. Okay, so render. Now our circle. I need to copy my favorite module. Here it is. It's just a square quad model that I can use in my game objects. Add component model, mesh quad, and now we need to create a material. And we are going to again copy the model material. Just in case we might need it for something, and change the tag to asset. That's my default go to. Okay, now in the circle go, I can select the model material, and in the main collection I can create a factory for the circle. Let's create factories go, add component factory prototype circle, ID circle, and we need an image of the circle. Let it be 256, and clear everything where the layers. Let's fill it. With the white color, like this, and now we can save it. We don't need you anymore. Okay, we now have an image. Here's our circle with the texture. Nice. Okay, now we should be able to create it in the main script. Circle factory create circle, and positions should be at the center of the screen, and we don't see it, maybe because we need to set the scale and position. This is the position, then it goes scale probably. I always forget. Let me check. No, it's rotations and properties and scale. That's counterintuitive. Okay, let it be nil, and now scale. Say 100 by 100. That will be the width and height of the circle. Yeah, we have it, but it's not looking good for some reason. Maybe because we need to change our fragment shader. We don't need diffuse light calculation. We just need the texture. And why do we not preserve? Let's do it this way. Yeah, now we have a white circle on the screen. Let's change the background to something more festive. Maybe 0.9, 0.91. Maybe more blue. Okay, that's better. What do we have about front color, tint? Let's not use who cares? Let it be this way. Okay, now we have something on the screen, and now we can oh, hello Mesih. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Now we can add Box2D and have something. So we don't need to require anything, so it's already available as Box2D. And does it need anything? I don't remember actually. Let me check. I might just leave this init function in the helper for no reason. Oh, there is init function just to check what Box2D version is available in the extension show. So right now Box2D version is 2.3.1 and default has an older version. Let me check. Default includes a modified version of Box2D physics engine 2.1. So it's a quite older than what I have in the extension. But we don't need it actually. What we do need is a world. Box2D new world, and the new world accepts a gravity param so this is our gravitation force. Mass vector 3. I also wish default had two-dimensional vectors library. Working with three-dimensional library with 2D games is not as comfortable. What should we do? X0, Y component -10. Okay, does it run? Yes, no errors. Here, probably let's move it up here. And for the circle, let's create a physics body. Self world, new body. It will also have a number of parameters, and we will attach this body to the circle, and the circle will be not just an instance of factory object, it would be a table with an instance field of the factory object. Okay, circle body, new body. What do we have for the body? I'm just checking the source code of the extension to see what parameters are available. So here's the source code, and there's a type, and type can be static body, kinematic body, or dynamic body. Default is dynamic, so we can skip the type. Is fixed rotation if is to set that the body should not be rotating. What is important is position and density, friction, width and height. So position would be our circle position. Not just radius. Oh yes, it's not even that. There's a separate option for a radius because it's a round object. Now let's try to run it. It's not erroring and nothing happens on the screen because in my extension all bodies are not connected to game objects and it's just virtual. But if we go to the update method over here and try to print out the position of our circle body, we will get zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. This is because our body, our physics world is not updating, because you as well have to update the world with timestamp and calculation iterations for, I forgot, it's calculations for velocities and for positions, I think, the number of times it does things. So I guess 8 and 6 should be enough. Let me put it on display. The official documentation. Okay, so no, not this one. This is for LibGDX, and this is Java. We need C++. No, here it is. So classes, Box2D world, and step function over here. So yeah, velocity iterations and position iterations. So how many times it performs calculations for velocities and positions. So safe values are around 8 or 6. This is very good values for most of the time. Okay, now let's see what happens. As you can see, the y component is dropping. Now we just need to connect this position with our instance position. So I'm taking the body position and applying it to the instance position. Yeah, it's slowly falling down. Yeah, nice. So you might want to correct the physics, gravity. If we have it -100, it's going faster, or we can just scale everything up so it's more to the way of Box2D is set up. Box2D wants you to have all the values for positions, for velocities, connected to the real world meters and meters per second and that sort of stuff. So this is actually -10 meters per second for the gravity. And we might want to scale our collection for the physics objects. Let's add a game object. Let's call it a group and maybe scale it to, what do you say, let's try 10. And when we are adding factory here, we will set parent Now it's much larger, and we can switch our circle radius to the more normal value for Box2D to work with. So yeah, this is very basic setup for the physics world, but we don't see any physics interactions. Let's add some ground probably. Ground would be a rectangular shape, and since the circle is 5, let it be width, I don't know, 50, 10 times bigger. 50, and height would be 5, and the position zero minus, I don't know, 10, 0. Let's see what it does. Oh no, we also need to set up the type to be Box2D static body. I think it's like that. Minus 10 probably too little. Minus 50 too much. Minus 20. Yeah, it stopped. So here is our virtual platform that it stands on. Let's make it visible. So now we need another image. I'm creating a rectangular shape image. So over here, let's create another game object. Actually, let's copy this one. And add it to the factories. Factory rect. Ground width, ground height. I remind you, this is a scale component for the factory. Mm-hmm. Should be working. Not exactly. Why? I don't understand yet, but there's some difference. Okay, anyway, let's continue. For now, let's maybe color our circle into another color. RGB. No. No. Why not? Oh, we need a URL. In my projects, I always create a lot of wrappers around this default stuff, so when I start to code with without them, I always forget how to properly use them. Maybe like this. No, it's correct one. Main instance. Maybe we need the component instance. And if we have a component, we can use model set constant. Ah, maybe because I need vector 4 instead of vector 3. Yeah, that was the case. Now we have this green ball. Add the component URL to the table. Do the same thing for this ground. And let the ground be, I don't know, something like this. Okay, now we can do some other stuff. Maybe we should try to fix this issue. What happens if we increase the height of the body? Yeah, that's expected. And if we increase it over here, yeah, it's exactly 2 times. So somewhere in my calculations it's not working as expected. Hello Pavel, welcome to the stream. It's a slow one, but we are getting there. Now we have a physics circle and the physics ground. I think I know why it's this way in Box2D, is because probably this method here set as box, yeah, it expects the half width and half height. So I should actually divide it here, I guess. That's better. Okay, now we can do some other interaction. Let's, for instance, have our input. Action touch. Scream. Why? It's always nice to always print out values to test that everything is working correctly. Okay, so what are we going to do on touch? Maybe set some linear velocity of our circle. It's moving. So let's try something more elaborate. Now if I press on the left, it goes to the left, to the right, it goes to the right, and it just sets the linear, it's just a velocity. And let's see where it gets off the ledge. Yeah, it falls down as a proper physics body. That's nice. And if I set a very high value, I don't know, like 100, it's gonna shoot. And let's shoot something with such force. Let's create our ground a bit larger and a bit lower. No, too much. Oh yeah, it's now. I can now play a little bit with that. Nice. And let's put the circle to the left. Too much. Yeah, something like that. And let's create a bunch of stuff to knock down. Hmm. Random position for the block. Random width and height. Is going to be dynamic body. And let's say the color maybe something like this. Block, block. Block body. And now we need to update in a table their positions. Iterate over the self blocks table. Now we have the block, and we can set the position of a block. And rotation of the block. And that would be angle, I think, if I recall correctly. Does it work? Should be working, maybe. Not rotating. Oops. Let's try knock it down. No, they're not rotating for some reason. Why is that? want them to fall, but they're not falling. I don't know why. Hmm. Let's print out the angle. Always 0. Let's try maybe setting angular velocity of some block. Okay, so it's working fine. It's rotating, but it just does not interact. Maybe because it's just physics and it's always like that. Maybe if we change the size of our circle to 1, why this doesn't fall down? I don't understand. It should be falling. Let's color them differently as well. Why are you not falling down? I don't know that. What could be the reason? Internet says I need to add friction and density. Yeah, that worked. Hooray! So yes, if you don't supply these values, they just don't work as expected. Let's increase our circle radius. Oh, let's use 3. We should probably do the same for the circle body as well. Okay, that's working. Let's create something like Angry Birds game. So for that matter, we'll deactivate the body of the circle. This way, when it starts, it's not interacting, and I will activate it when we will launch it. Over here, not here, but here. And the vector of its launch will be dependent on the direction will be dependent on the screen coordinates of the touch. Let's calculate them. Let's use simple calculations. We will use the middle of the screen as a guiding point. Then we are going to normalize our vector so that we only get the direction and not the actual value. And the new linear velocity will be direction multiplied by the starting speed of the circle. So let's say if I do it over here, it should launch like this. Yes, it works. If I click over here, it should go up. And over here it should go to the left and up. Right. Okay. And one of the nice features of this extension is that you can have many worlds, physical worlds, that would be independent of each other, and you can actually use that to do some calculations. Let's have it renamed to velocity. Do you know what's the difference between velocity and the speed? I will wait for your answers in the chat, and then I will tell what's the difference. So when I'm touching the screen, I want to have a projection of the trajectory. And let's maybe increase the gravity. Let's see if it works. Okay. Let's create a few fresh world. With the same gravity. And we can copy our circle body, but this time we don't need the physical, not the physical, we don't need the you don't need to display the circle, we just need the physical body. Then we're going to set the linear velocity of the circle, and we are going to step our world for some time, let's say a second, so 60 frames. One-sixtieth of a second is going to be our dt here, and we're going to use the same iterations. World step, and now we need to draw the line, and to draw the line we can use this factory. Let's call it dots. The radius of a dot can be very small, maybe 0.5. And the position will be dependent on this circle body position. We also need to insert it to the group. Okay, no answer is there, so velocity and the speed, the difference is that speed is a scalar value like 20, 10, 50, and velocity is a vector, so it has a direction, velocity to somewhere, to some direction. Some cleanup here for when we create dots. The next frame I'm going to delete them because we don't need them anymore. It's not the practical use because ideally you would want to reuse them, but we don't care much here. Okay, like this. And at the end we should destroy the physics world, otherwise it's going to leak the memory, and as well to here as well, I meant. This is because I forgot this self over here. We need to use the new world, not the old world. And what's here in this global circle? Any value? Circle radius, circle radius. Because it's not circle but circle. Okay. And we don't need the body here because circle here already is a body. Could not spawn an instance of property because the buffer is full. Let's increase the buffer. Where do we do that? Not input, not resource, not collection sprites. Here. I guess it will be here. Yeah. Here's our trajectory, and because the gravity is rather high and the speed is low, we don't get a big result here. So let's increase the speed, and now we are getting trajectory like an Angry Birds. It's even working after the first initial launch. Okay, now it's just a simple delete menu. No, another typo. Destroy. Okay, so this is just a simple Box2D demo. The extension currently does not have support for polygon shapes, no support for joints, and that's probably it. Yeah, there's some missing properties for the bodies and for the world, like changing some properties and maybe applying linear impulse, for instance, but it's very easy to add, so it will be there when I release it. And now let's have something with collisions. let's have some goal. So after we create the blocks, and let's also randomize our blocks. And to display the dot, let's increase the position z value to display them over the objects. So after we create blocks, so let's create another block maybe. Oh no, let's maybe have it that the last block will be the goal block that you have to hit. It could be here. If I equals 10, let's have his goal variable and attach it to the block body. The extension is set in that way that, for instance, there's properties like linear velocity that you can read and write, or position that you can read and write, angular velocity, but aside from this list, you can also add your own properties and they will stay attached to the body. You can have any Lua value attached to the body. So I'm attaching the isGoal, and if it is goal, I will color it differently. If it is a goal, it will be red component 1. Now we can see which one is the goal. It's a bright red one. Okay, and now let's have some fun with the collisions. There are several collision types, events, and they all can be set in the new body section. And the list is on enter collision, on exit collision, on before collision, and on after collision. So these are the 4 functions that tell you when the collision happened, when the collision ended, and the moment right before the collision. The meaning of this function is that you can set up special cases and maybe disable the collision before it's happening. You can't, in my extension, disable it yet as a contact point, but it will be eventually added to the extension. At the moment, we don't need all of them. We just need on enter collision. It's a function that receives an event, and the event has 2 bodies: event self, the self body, and event other, the other physics body that the object is colliding with. So we can, for instance, print event other is goal. But I don't need it for the ground. I need it for the circle. So if I launch it here, it's false, false. We didn't hit the goal. But if I launch it like this, we get true, that we hit the goal. And that could be the game. Let's do something. Maybe let's delete the object, maybe on collision. For that matter, we need to do event other destroy, I think. And we also need to delete the visual component. Maybe not delete, maybe just deactivate. I forgot how to disable and enable in default. Yeah, it's a message. The component URL we can add to the body, or maybe not the component but instance. Let's see what it gets us. Yeah, they disappear and the game crashes. The receiver should not be nil. Oh, because I'm colliding with the ground. Let's have another setting. if event other is block, actually not ground. Blossel, where is Blossel? Here. Yeah, it's working. I'm deleting all the blocks with my circle cannon. So what else can we do? Well, that's pretty much it. The basic functionality of the Box2D extension. It works, it's fun to play with, and you can do stuff that is not possible with a default system. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Maybe you have some questions in the chat. If so, please leave them so I can answer them. And yes, the extension is not full featured, and it's needed probably not for the whole community of default. So I decided to make it available for my Patreon users. So if you support me on Patreon with not the lowest tier, but the second tier at least, you will get access to the extension, to the source code, and you will be able to edit it, and this is actually will be encouraged. So you can send me your fixes maybe, or your extensions of the API. Well, I hope YouTube records the stream automatically. It should be able to do so. Oh, it looks like it does, because in the YouTube streaming page there's such a checkbox, enable DVR, so that's probably tells me that it will be available as a video later on. Any other questions? Here's my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/lerg, and yeah, this is the second tier, $5 per month, and you will get access to the extension. Do you have further ideas on what can you stream? That's interesting questions, because actually I have lots of ideas for content making for default and videos, and maybe not necessary streams, but just development of some stuff and little tutorials on how to do stuff. For instance, maybe how to organize elements in a grid. It's often task in game development, and not everybody understands how to lay out elements on the screen in a grid of various shapes. So working with the for loops, working with two-dimensional arrays in Lua, something like that. And yeah, just basic tutorials on default and how to maintain maybe a screen sizes and resolutions dynamically, like I did in my previous video, that sort of stuff. Oh, I just noticed that the ball is not jumping off the ground. And that's because we need another property here, which has a pretty hard name to remember. I will cheat and look it up. It's called restitution. In other game engines, it's often called bounds, and we can have it like 0.5 maybe, and not just block. Again, the circle. Let's see if it will bounce. Yeah, it now bounces. Yes, that looks much nicer. And we can get the friction for the ground higher. So the ball does not roll that much. Nice, I like it. Okay, that's about it. How long have we been streaming? Oh, almost 2 hours. And that's great. Yeah, I expected it would be not a fast stream, because leaf coding is always slow, and it's almost like a calming experience, like ASMR videos, you know. It's all relaxing. It's always, I think, relaxing to watch someone code something. Okay, thank you for watching. I enjoyed streaming. Thank you very much. Goodbye.